Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Wednesday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It is Wednesday, and that means we'll be joined by our man JC the Corn Dog here in just a second. Second portion of today's show, we'll be joined by former Gator running back and UF track star, Chris Rainey. But first, let's go to the Titan MR hotline. Right. And, of course, I'm having computer. This dang thing is locked up on me. Oh, there we go. Let's go. And we are now joined by, I thought it was going to be JC, but it looks like it's going to be Sean McVay.
Yes. We have
from their football facility out in L.A. Good morning, Sean. How are you?
We have a big game tomorrow night against the New England Patriots, who beat the Chargers. And so they stuck around in town, and we are ready for them. They're making everybody else stay at home in Los Angeles, but we're going to get to play a football game tomorrow night. I tell you, QB, I'm looking at some of these odds for the college football playoff, and when I look at odds, I'm just talking about the probabilities.
But hang on, before we get to that.
Oh, okay.
Now we all know that if the Dallas Cowboys had won last night, we'd have Mike McCarthy sitting here with us today, but instead they lost. So we have Sean McVay.
Well, right? You're lucky I wasn't on Tuesday. We'd have had Andy Reid. Or was Andy? Did Andy play on Monday? Yeah, Andy played. No, that was Sunday night, wasn't it? I think we did have Andy Reid on Monday. At any rate, the Cowboys are terrible. They're just a bad football team. Bad injuries have afflicted them, and Mike McCarthy's got a big job ahead of him. But I wanted to get to the college football playoff talk, and I know that there's an LSU game coming Saturday. I know that Alabama's playing Arkansas Saturday. Frankly, I'm not that interested in those games because to me, those games are just walkthroughs for what's coming in a week from now. And I know they have to play these games because the SEC has mandated that they play 10 games. And to their credit, I guess that's what coaches and players want to do. Although I agree more with what the ACC has done, and that is protect their championship game by not requiring Notre Dame and Clemson to play meaningless football games this weekend. And they are meaningless football games.
Let me ask you this, though. Okay. Do you think if Miami was still on the schedule for have they played Clemson or Notre Dame this year?
Yeah. Miami lost to Clemson.
Okay, so let's say that Notre Dame was scheduled to play Miami this week. Do you think the ACC would have played that game or not?
I think they would have, because I think that would have had a chance to affect their championship game. As it stands right now, Notre Dame playing Wake Forest and Clemson playing whoever has no bearing whatsoever on their championship game. Florida and LSU playing has no bearing on its.
But they're also, the ACC is also protecting to make sure they have somebody in the 14 playoff.
Yes, they're smart. Gee whiz, it's all about being smart.
Yes and no, but
let's say this. Let's say Florida plays LSU, and God forbid something happens to Pitts or Trask, or let's say Alabama plays Arkansas and Devontae Smith or Mac Jones come down with COVID on Monday. This is not smart, folks. This is not smart when it comes to the season that we are having. And the lack of forward thinking, to me, sometimes is astounding. Now, I credit the SEC for what they've done this year. It's been remarkable. They've played 9 games, 10 games, But the fact of the matter is these games Saturday you can get nothing but negative results out of this. If Florida beats LSU 55-13, 17, does it really make a difference? No. Kyle Trask or Mac Jones is going to win the Heisman Trophy. We know this. A. B. Only bad things can happen to Kyle Trask and Mac Jones by playing this Saturday. Only bad things. So, and when I say that, I'm referring to the potential for them playing in the championship game, which we have to have. We have to have both those guys play in the SEC championship game, and the league knows it. but they are throwing caution to the wind by having these games being played. With that being said, the odds for Florida to win the college football playoff, according to Superbook Sports, which I read off Brett McMurphy, who is on Twitter, is 30-1. So you put down $1, you can win $30 if the Gators can run the table. And the Gators are the only team outside of the top 4 that control their fate by winning the rest of their games. They will become the national champion. So they're the only team outside of the top 4 that can do that. And I think it's amazing how these guys can sit in Grapevine and talk about the holidays and talk about their kids and talk about their relatives and do absolutely nothing to the rankings. But this is an exercise we go through for some reason. What they should be talking about is how are we going to expand a 6 to 8 game playoff for this season so that we can get a real playoff for the 2020 season. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to be damned if we don't have these games on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, whenever it is. The Rose Bowl has no business hosting a semifinal game, zero business. Right now, Los Angeles is closed. They are closed. Nothing is happening. Restaurants are going out of business. There is nothing going on. There will be 0 people in the Rose Bowl for that semifinal game. So to me, there's just no thinking about that. There's just no planning that makes any sense to me as it relates to the college football playoff. With that being said, I hope the Big Ten does the right thing and gets Ohio State into their championship game.
Well, I hope I have mixed thoughts about the Big Ten. I don't think it's fair. Trey says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Wouldn't Ohio State have a competitive advantage by playing half as many games as the SEC teams? Absolutely, they do. That's why, in my opinion, I know it's a pandemic. I know it's their fault. Their fault, the Big Ten, that they had no wiggle room. They weren't even going to play football until they saw the ACC and SEC get it done in the Big 12.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, I don't care if Ohio State is the greatest college football team we've all seen with the eyeball test. They should not qualify. I do not care who they are, what they've done, but when you only play 5 or 6 games and everybody else plays 10 or 11, that is not fair. I don't care. They should not be even in the mix. It's their own fault, and they have to live with it.
Well, I don't think I can't say that I would blame Ohio State. I would blame the Big Ten leadership and the lack of vision, the lack of vision and the lack of leadership and foresight that the administrators of the Big Ten have shown us that they were set up to fail. There was no contingency whatsoever. And to think that Michigan, which we correctly predicted somehow mysteriously a week ago, wasn't going to play this game, to think that it's bad luck, everybody's sick. How come we can predict their coronavirus afflictions a week in advance? How is that possible? And yes, I'm cynical about it because nobody knew or thought, I should say, nobody thought Michigan was going to play that game. We all knew they weren't going to play that game. How is that? Well, it's obvious how that is because after their first 2 or 3 games, they became disengaged, just like about 70% of all the college football teams out there that don't have something to play for this year. They have become disengaged, and the leagues were not set up to succeed when they start in November or in late October with no contingencies. It is amazing to me how Reese Davis and these guys on ESPN cannot come out and simply say these guys failed at their jobs. They were abject failure. Ohio State, you know and I know that Justin Fields and those athletes on that field wearing that uniform are very capable of winning a national championship. But the fact that they weren't given that opportunity because of the lack of planning is appalling. And Ohio State fans are pissed. I know a very good Ohio State fan in Tallahassee who basically told me, let's get out of the Big Ten and join the Big 12 with Nebraska, Iowa, and BYU. And then the Big 12 could have 14 teams, and the Big 10 can go suck grapes because that is just awful what that conference has led for that team. And if they do get in their championship game and they win 6 games, the College Football Committee has to make a decision as to whether or not what you said, it is fair for them to continue playing for a championship.
Yeah, I wanted to read this Facebook Live comment, but I can't find all the damn, after like 3 or 4 of them, they go away. So if my producer can send me the one that Russell, text it to me, Evan, Russell had about the Heisman Trophy. And then you're going to have to show me how to do this on the damn computer one day. Back to the Big Ten. You're right. I feel bad for the Justin Fields because those guys went to bat for their team because they wanted to play.
Yeah, they did.
But as you mentioned, whether it's the commissioner, the presidents, all those folks, they dropped the ball.
Badly.
And in my opinion, I would be saying the same thing if it was an SEC school right now. It is not fair. And I know life ain't fair, but in this case, I'm praying that my scenario, which I think Herbstreit may have said my scenario last night on the show, that Clemson beats Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They're both in.
Yep.
And Florida beats Alabama. Then they're all in. Those 4 teams are in the playoffs, and Ohio State is left looking. That is the only way that they're going to get left out, and I think they should be left out this year because it's not right.
Yeah.
Because they have an opportunity right now. They have an opportunity to play Texas A&M, Coastal Carolina, or somebody else. If you want to play games, you can find somebody to play you.
I think the players would love it. I think both teams, Texas A&M and Ohio State, would love the opportunity to play against each other. You could do it at either place, although in College Station they'd have about 30 or 40,000 fans, and in Columbus, Ohio, they would have 0 fans. So play the game in Jerry World or whatever you want to do. But the point is that it would be great. It would be great for the game. It would be great for those teams. It would be a real honest-to-goodness attempt to try to make things right. And I just don't see people doing that because everybody has this agenda. And the agenda is to make it as easy as possible for an Ohio State team to get into the playoff, even though they've played half as many games. And, the Big Ten's going to skate around why this happened, and everybody's going to use the coronavirus, rightfully or wrongly, as the reasoning for the situation we're in currently. But I need the media to hold some people accountable. I need ESPN and FS1 and the people who talk about this and get paid a lot of money to do it to ask the right questions and not cave. Kirk Herbstreit gave us this scenario 10 days ago or however many days ago it was, and his bosses told him he had to apologize for the insinuation that Michigan would bail on Ohio State, which we all knew would happen.
I agree, and Kirk should not have apologized because that's what he believed. But let's put JC working for College Game Day, making $5 million or whatever Herbstreit is paid. If those bosses come tell JC to apologize, JC, you're going to be the first one sitting down in front of the camera apologizing.
Isn't it sad? I mean,
okay,
it really is
so
sad.
let's don't go there. Hang on. We got a couple of Facebook Lives here brought to you by Melton Law. Dan says, if the 2007 Gator team didn't play, that team was loaded. Would they have been put in a playoff game? No. You have to play to get in. You never know what will happen. Okay, so before we get back to your odds, Russell on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law, where you matter most, said he had a Heisman argument. I want to get your thoughts on this because I'm going to get my thoughts. He said all these Alabama fans continue to downplay Kyle Trask's resume. Had Mac Jones been injured in week 1, Alabama would still be going to Atlanta. Had Kyle Trask been injured in week 1, Florida would not be going to Atlanta. Trask means more to Florida and their team's success than Mac Jones does at Alabama. Not to mention Mac has an NFL line, running back, and receivers.
Who wrote this?
This is from Russell on Facebook Live.
Okay.
So here are my thoughts. Okay. If you put Mac Jones in Florida's offense, he's going to throw for just as many yards. Okay. You got to take your orange and blue glasses off. This dude is a very good quarterback. Does he have great players around him? Yes. Does Kyle Trask have great players around him? Yes. And the argument is, and we talked about this yesterday, is Mac hasn't played as much as Kyle has this year. Mac's only played, some fourth quarters he didn't even play. He didn't even play in some third quarters. Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. And also, I think I read correctly, out of Kyle's 38 touchdown passes, 12 or 13 of them have been thrown inside the 5-yard line. Okay. Yeah. Where Mac, when they get in the 5-yard line, they're going to turn around and hand it to Najee Harris. So
correct. Right.
They're both very good players. They're both deserving of the Heisman. It's going to come down to who plays the best. So you can't really say this, that, and the other because there's arguments for both sides. I love Kyle Trask. His story may win him the Heisman, just the story of his career. Mm-hmm. Max is an extremely good quarterback.
I don't really understand what an Alabama fan would have a problem with Kyle Trask, or why an Alabama fan would have a problem with Kyle Trask. There is no problem with Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask does this without the benefit of a real running game, whether that makes it easier or harder.
But here's the thing. Okay. And Coach Spurrier and I talked about this the other day.
Uh-huh.
A good coach knows what your team is good at. And when you can't run the football, you're a dumbass if you call running plays. You are. Right. So you do the object is to win the football game. It's not to be balanced. It's to win the game. And so that's why he has 48, 52 attempts a game is because, and Mac doesn't. So you got to look at both sides of it. Mac's in a more balanced offense. Kyle is not. And
I completely agree with all of that. I mean, I agree with all of that. And the fact that Kyle doesn't have a running game might make it more difficult for him when he's making these short passes, fitting them in these tight windows, which are kind of like running plays, aren't they? But the point is that both guys are deserving. And Alabama fans are wrong by saying that Kyle Trask this or Kyle Trask that. The reality is that you've got two kids that have exceeded their expectation levels, and you've got great players around both, but they take advantage of that. And if a football team is really good at throwing the football, then that's what they're going to do. You have to get the ball into the players that help you win and attack defenses. And the bottom line is that you've got All-Americans, first-team All-Americans on both teams supporting the quarterback and really solid offensive lines. So Kyle Trask has every right to claim the Heisman Trophy, or deserving the Heisman Trophy, as Mac Jones does, and vice versa. And I think what we're going to see is the player who steps up and makes the biggest impact a week from Saturday could get the majority of votes when it comes down to those two when they do the Heisman voting. And it would be deserving for either one to win, and it's hard to separate one from the other. You know, you said before that Alabama's offense currently resembles the 90 Florida offenses as closely as anybody you've seen because of how precision and how accurate and how timing is so important for those routes and the way they attack defenses. And Florida does it with Dan Mullen finding weaknesses in defenses and getting guys that are so wide open. You know, QB, Dan Mullen showed me something, not just this year, but he proved to me what a great play caller he was when Mississippi State and Florida played in Starkville not very long ago. And he had Felipe Franks, which some could consider as an inferior quarterback to Kyle Trask, but yet he had Felipe Franks not making mistakes because of the plays he called for Felipe in that game, tailored to his strengths. They asked Felipe to do the things he was good at, and they did not ask him to do the things he was bad at, and they decided that they would make and take Nick Fitzgerald away from that game defensively, and they won the game. They won the game because Dan Mullen knew what to do with Felipe Franks in that scenario, and he called the right plays, and he's doing the same thing with Kyle Trask and all of these great receivers they have.
I had another Facebook Live that I wanted to read, but they only put on my screen 3 or 4 at a time, and I don't know where they go. But I think it was Scott Tootin said something about the lines that shouldn't Devontae Smith win the Heisman since he has a half of Mac Jones' touchdowns? How many touchdowns has he scored this year, JC?
I think he's got to be getting close to 40. And
no. I'm talking about this year. How many touchdowns has he scored? 12.
It's it's at least.
Okay, well, okay. So here, because I love Kyle Trask, and I don't want people to get me wrong here because I'm a Gator, but I try to be open-minded, especially at the quarterback position, and because I love college football. When people say that about Devontae Smith, about scoring all these touchdowns for Mac Jones, okay, Florida has 3 receivers, Tony, Grimes, and Pitts. All 3 of them have 8 touchdowns. That's 24 touchdowns. Kyle Trask has thrown 38. Okay, so you can't sit here and say that Mac Jones has this guy, that guy doing this for him. Kyle Trask has the same thing, people. Quarterbacks are not successful if they don't have good players around them. Find me one quarterback that was outstanding that had horrible players. You ain't going to find one. You can't. It's the greatest team. It's the greatest team sport. It's the only team sport that relies on everybody to do their job, because Kyle Trask has had a phenomenal year. Mac Jones has had a phenomenal year. So you can't sit here and say, because he has this player. Kyle Trask has a lot of good players, people.
Well, I mean, Kyle Pitts is a first-round draft pick, and
Yes.
you know, and there are probably a few others maybe, but yeah, Devontae Smith stayed his senior year because he wanted to do something special at Alabama, and he's doing it so great. I mean, he's hard to cover, he's hard to deal with. We've all known this about Devontae Smith, and if you're going to invite 5 or 6 players to New York, which I know they're doing it virtually this year. But if you were to say in a typical year, we're going to invite 5 or 6 players to New York for the Heisman Trophy celebration or a ceremony, then maybe both of those guys, Pitts and Smith, would get invites, knowing probably that they weren't going to win it because it's a quarterback award from what we've heard. But
it is. I said yesterday on the show, the 3 best players in America are Devontae Smith, Kyle Pitts, and Anais Smith from Texas A&M.
Yeah, you
those
told
are the
me
3
that.
best players I've seen in college football.
Well, I tell you, the other thing that we need to think about is who gets the Biletnikoff Award. You could make a case for Kyle Pitts, but I think they're going to get Smith the Biletnikoff Award, and that's okay. That's okay. I mean, it's just a good year for a couple of players that are going to make a lot of money on Sundays now. It looks like.
Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. December is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. We are speaking with JC here on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. In the second portion of the show today, we'll have Chris Rainey. JC, go back. We got distracted because we got all these Facebook Live. I know these Gator fans, they don't like Mac Jones, but you got to keep an open mind, folks.
He's from Jacksonville.
Give me those odds again. First of all, were you surprised that Florida's a 14-point underdog to Alabama?
Yeah, I was thinking it'd be more about like 7 or 8, maybe 6, 7 or 8. 14 seems awfully high, but that's the kind of number that Alabama's getting right now. They're just getting double digits on everybody, and I don't think it's well placed because I've been told. And I've watched with my own eyes that Alabama's defense has gotten better. Okay, maybe, but look at who they've played. These are very bad offensive football teams. And Alabama's defense is going to get exposed, and Florida's going to score a lot of points. The thing to do when you play Alabama, the only way you beat them is your quarterback's got to stand on his head with his hair on fire. I mean, Bo Wallace at Ole Miss, Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M, Deshaun Watson at Clemson. These are guys that have beaten Alabama. And you know what? They had career games when they played against Alabama. Kyle Trask is going to have that game because Florida's going to have to score in the 40s to beat Alabama. And it could happen. And it could happen because Alabama's defense, to me, I've watched Alabama defenses, folks. They've won national titles with really average quarterbacks. Jay Barker, Greg McElroy. You know why they won? Because they had unbelievable NFL-type defenses. Alabama doesn't have that kind of defense this year. And if they did, and if Jalen Waddle was healthy, the season would be over. We could just go ahead and give him the title now. But that's not the fact. The fact is Jalen Waddle is not going to play, and the Alabama defense there is nothing about that defense. It reminds me of the ones in 2011, 2012 when they were winning, Jalen Hurts even, when they were winning championships with quarterbacks that couldn't throw the football. And they did because of their defense. They don't have that defense today. But to beat Alabama, your quarterback has to play out of his mind, and that's what Trask is going to have to do.
Yeah, he is. There's no question about that. It's going to be a fun game. It's a shame.
I mean, you agree with that? You think Alabama's defense is that great? I don't think they're that great.
No, I think they're going to pick on 28, the corner over there, opposite of Surtain. So I mean, they're not. We'll move the football. It's.
There's no question about it. There's no question. It's a shootout. It's a 70-point shootout, and that's where. I mean, I think the total is going to be close to 70. I truly believe that. I would be shocked if it wasn't. The odds are Florida at 30-1, Notre Dame at 14-1, Ohio State at 7-2. So Vegas is saying they're in. Regardless of how many games they play. Clemson is 3-1, and Bama is 4-5, which seems to be.
What does that mean?
Well, that just means if you bet $4, you can only win $5. If you bet $5, you can only win $4. Is what that means. With Clemson, if you bet $1, you can win $3. With Florida, you bet $1, you win $30. But with Alabama, if you bet 5, you only win 4. So you don't even get even money. And to me, that's somewhat ridiculous. And I think it's misplaced. But I think Florida and Alabama are going to be a very close game. But I think for Florida to win, Trask has to have a career day. And if he does, he's going to be the Heisman Trophy winner for sure. And then Florida's going to be either a 1 or 2 seed going into the playoff.
Yep. We got JC here from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. A few more minutes with him, and then we'll be joined by Chris Rainey. Back to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Because I think that is the big issue right now. I mean, it really ticks me off the more I think about it.
I feel bad for the players. I don't.
Well, I do too. But the leadership of that conference
awful
has dropped the ball.
Totally.
Dropped the ball.
They should all be fired.
So do you think? So what is Ohio State's 5-0 right now?
They're 5-0.
Okay. And they have to play 6 conference games to be so-called be eligible for and they're supposed to play with Northwestern. Is that correct?
Yes, their game with Maryland got canceled.
No, I'm talking about in the championship game.
Yeah. Oh no, in the championship game, the opponent would be out of the West, and that would be, I believe, to this day is Northwestern, because they beat Iowa and they beat Wisconsin. So yes, it would be the Northwestern Wildcats. If they don't play Ohio State in that game, then they will play Indiana. Now, we saw Indiana play Ohio State, and they lost. It's a bogus championship game. It wouldn't make any sense. It would be fake. It's fake news. It's whatever you want to call it. It wouldn't be right. But Ohio State's going to get a ruling, I think, either today or tomorrow, that they're going to be eligible for this game, and they're going to play in that game and get their 6th win. And I guess that's going to be enough for the committee, and that's what we're going to have to live with, is Ohio State in the football championship.
Oh, geez. And here's the other thing, too. My scenario, was it my scenario? Anyway, I saw where, if Clemson beats Notre Dame and then Florida beats Alabama, or maybe, I can't remember what the scenario is, but it had Clemson playing Notre Dame for the first round of the playoffs again.
I mean, that's just
that would be their 3rd time in the year. Third time.
I don't know. I heard somebody yesterday on the radio say Jim Mora Jr., who I respect when I listen to him on the radio. He said Clemson's losing to Notre Dame. He says Notre Dame, this is their year. They're going to win. And he gave all the reasons why. I just don't see it with Trevor Lawrence and the way Clemson's playing defense right now. I think it's a different team than what they saw in South Bend. And I don't know if Notre Dame's any better. I think Notre Dame actually may be worse than the team they fielded in that game against Clemson, because they lost one of their offensive linemen. And they have a very good offensive line. But I can't see Notre Dame winning that game. I'd just be shocked if they could pull it off in Charlotte. If they do, Clemson's out. They're out. So that gets Texas A&M in there potentially. And then you're really looking at some crazy stuff if Florida would beat Alabama. If Clemson loses, then you could conceivably have 3 SEC teams in the finals. I don't know if that would be the case, but you could make that case if Florida beats Alabama.
Dan Bond from out in Texas here says he has a ticket before the season started that he has Gators 15-1.
15, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're 30 now, according to what I read off Brett McMurphy. But regardless of what it is, they are the only team that controls their fate outside of the top 4. And, it's right there in front of them. If they don't beat Alabama, they're still going to have a very good bowl game, but it would be somewhat of a letdown, in my opinion, because I think Gator fans believe this is the team that could do it, because defensively they're just good enough to keep the team to keep the game close, and offensively they're good enough to win the game. So, put aside this LSU fiasco on Saturday. What Florida does against LSU to me is almost non-relevant.
All right, JC, time has run up.
Oh, by the way, what about my Redskins pick that I told you over the Steelers on Monday? Did you remember
Congratulations.
That?
Now, real quick, I'll give you credit.
The Washington football team.
Real quick, though, do you have any apologies that your agent or your boss have told you that you need to apologize for before we let you go?
That what?
You need to apologize for anything that you said. Kirk Herbstreit apologized for things he said. I'm asking, do you need to apologize for anything?
Absolutely not. Nobody's paying me $5 million right now. I am beholden
JC.
to nobody.
Enjoy the day, my man. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. Center State Bank, member FDIC. We're not going to take our first time out here from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. When we come back, we'll be joined by former Gator running back Chris Rainey. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
This is Shane Matthews. Thank you for listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning. You can also check me out on Inside the Huddle with Steve Russell and the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. Tune in every Tuesday during football season on WRUF 98.1 FM, 8:50 a.m. at 10 o'clock in the morning, or find us on your favorite podcast platform. We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Ribs, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Miapa Latin Cafe, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Radware for all your promotional needs, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Dar Shakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click the advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to this Wednesday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. Celebration Points where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Palmetto Moon, Medici's, Nike, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, and opening soon Dave & Buster's, and coming spring of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators come to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by a guy that did a lot of celebrating, Mr. Chris Rainey. Good morning, Chris. How are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm great. Just another day in this crazy world.
Well, you look very relaxed there, my man. You laid back, taking a little nap?
No, just looking at YouTube. Some days when I look at YouTube, I'm in the bed all day.
Well, first of all, like I said, I appreciate you joining the show. I want to talk about first, you played high school ball at Lakeland, a powerhouse down there back in the day. What other schools did you think about going to, or was it a no-brainer? I know y'all all came in like a little package deal too, but just talk about the process of becoming a Gator.
It was a no-brainer because I committed my sophomore year, but I knew I was going by myself. Because all the other guys didn't know what they're going. Most of them was going to Florida State for sure, going to Florida State. So when I knew I was making names, doing good in high school and all that kind of stuff, when our senior year came, I just set up a meeting and said, hey, we talk and all that kind of stuff. Hey, we stick together. How won't we win one in college? So we stuck together and we all left and went to Florida, and we ended up getting one. Should have been two.
Yeah. So let everybody know, obviously the Pouncing twins, y'all came in together. Who else from that Lakeland squad all became Gators?
Paul Wilson, Steve Wilkes, John Brown, Ma Black, because I know Steve Wilkes was a deal for the twins. So that's how Steve Wilkes got with us. And Paul, he played baseball too.
Yeah, I forgot Ahmad was part of that too. We've had him on my show several times. Real quick before we talk a little bit about your career, the Bowman kid who came out of Lakeland and went to Clemson, one of the top 5-star running backs. Did you get to see him playing in high school at all?
Yeah, I did. He was his own style, fast, strong, like a power back that run people over. I ain't that kind of person, but if I had to do it, I would. But no, good dude, because I had a long talk with him, talked to him and all that stuff, and always told him, end of the day, it's your choice to choose what school you go to. Don't let nobody force you to go to a place. Because he always was a Gator fan. He looked up to me. He said he was going to go to the Gators, but hey, stuff changed and all that stuff. And I always told him, because everybody always try to compare us. I told him I did my thing, and my thinking process was different than yours. So if you win a championship, you can all change to have your own legacy. It's up to you to do that, because end of the day, if nobody else can't do nothing, you have to put the team on your back. So it's up to you to change all that. So he ended up winning one before he left. So that's a good thing.
So are y'all built about the same?
We the same height.
Same height? You a little thicker, or is he thicker than you?
No, he a little thicker.
A little thicker, but you're faster, right?
Yeah.
All right. So when you came here, obviously you won a national title, a couple of SECs. What would you say in your career? What's the one thing that stands out the most in Chris Rainey's mind? The one moment that was the biggest for you being a Gator?
The one thing the most that stick out, being a Gator. Nobody never asked me that one question before.
No? I mean, would it be just winning the national title, you think? The best moment you had here?
Graduating from the University of Florida.
There you have it. That's a pretty good one. There's no doubt about it. So let's talk a little bit. You were a two-sport athlete at Florida. You also ran track. Jeff Demps was part of that 4x100. Who were the other two? And y'all won the SEC?
A couple times.
A couple times. I can't remember. Did y'all win the national title in the 4x100 or come close?
No, we did. We did it twice, not with the same group, because I got hurt. We both got hurt, actually. But we still, it was still one, but I don't count that one. But yeah, we won a couple of them.
How hard was it doing both sports? I mean, I know they weren't at the same time, except I guess part of the track season may have been during spring ball. How did y'all work that out when you would practice running track, going to football practice?
Well, I know track practice was hard, but the football coaches, they'll lean in with us, so it was a good thing, even though track was hard, because I know a lot of the football players quit because of track. And only people that lasted was me, Jeff, and Frankie Hammond. We were the only football players remain on the track team.
I gotcha. Well, I got to ask this, because I know how all these dudes that are always fast, they think they're faster than each other or teammates. How many times, like after practice, was it, whether it was you and Demps and Percy, whoever, said y'all would always race after practice? How many times did that happen?
Ooh, a lot of times, because it was a lot of fast people on that team, and you have to prove and see who was the number one, who was the fastest on the team. So you have to race. You have to. You prove your point, because I raced Jeff, I raced Lewis Murphy, I raced Chevy, I raced Deontay Thompson. Did I race the Bows? I don't remember. Did I race the Bows? And a couple more other people. It was like Joe Hayden. It was a lot of people. You have to prove it.
So when y'all did the race, did you go 40 yards, 100 yards, or how far did y'all race?
Either between 40, 50, the most probably 60, not 100.
Now, did you win them all? Did you win them all? Did you win every time?
I was almost undefeated, because Percy was the only person that was the same exact everything with me. So I won one, he won one, we tied. So it basically became even.
So, Chris, when you look back at your career at Florida, what was your favorite game? You know, back in those days, I'm trying to think, you know, when I played, Tennessee and Florida State were the two best teams, our biggest rivals. And, of course, Georgia. Was there one school that you enjoyed playing against the most while you were at Florida? Was it Florida State, Georgia? Who was it?
I know 2 years with Florida State and all the years with Georgia. But the most thing was fun about when I blocked the punt. That was the funnest thing.
What game was that you blocked the punt?
All of them. All my block punts, yes. Because everybody always said it was a percentage you win in the game, and plus the crowd go nuts when we block the punt.
So let me ask you, so would you rather block a punt or score a touchdown from the running back position or returning a kickoff or something like that? Would you rather block a punt? Block punt.
Because you can score 2 on that too.
Well, that's true. That's true. You got to scoop and score. So is there one game in your career that stands out the most to you where you tore it up, scored multiple touchdowns, probably the best game of your career?
Well, I say Tennessee my senior year because Charlie Wise challenged me, and I challenged myself, and I had something to prove to NFL, to the world, to whoever, because I still to this day get called too small, and plus I played in the SEC. So me in that Tennessee game my senior year when I had 100 receiving, 100 rushing, that proves everything.
Yeah. So when you came here to play under Urban leaves, retires, or what have you, Will Muschamp comes in. Was there a big transition for you as a player? Did you think about going ahead and leaving, or were you going to stay and see how it was playing for Will Muschamp?
Oh no, I wanted to leave early, but track kept me to track made me stay. Because I knew we had a good team. I knew we would win the championship. And plus, I wanted to do stuff people didn't do, win championships in multiple sports. And track, the one saved me from and helped me to graduate because I stayed for track.
So we've all heard the stories about Urban, about how he made everything a competition. You know, whether y'all were doing tug of war, flipping tires, wrestling one another, mat drills, whatever it's called. How hard were those things playing for him?
Well, if you didn't come from a competitive background from when you were younger or from high school, whatever, going to Urban Meyer program, you wouldn't last in there. It was fun and it was easy, and I loved it. So talk about Tim Tebow. How competitive was he as a quarterback? Yeah, he is. I ain't never seen a quarterback that competitive in everything you did because, you know, most quarterbacks are soft. You already know that part, but that's the toughest quarterback I ever met in my life.
I got a text here on the Titan MR hotline. It comes from Fred. Fred wants to know, Chris, what was the hardest hit you took while playing at Florida in the SEC?
The hardest hit? I got caught by Brandon Spikes at practice, but the thing is, I never failed. I kept going, and he was mad about it. He was like, how the heck did you survive that hit? So when I broke that tackle, as soon as I'm catching my balance and I come up, a mob black came and caught me right in my chin strap. My chin, you know that chin strap when it hit your throat?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, I think that was the worst one. Mob black after Brandon Spikes hit me. So I got double hit that day.
At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. We're speaking with Chris Rainey here on the Titan MR hotline. Chris, you get drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers after you leave and win a national title at Florida. Go play for the Steelers, play for a couple other NFL teams, been playing Canadian ball for a while. What was the biggest adjustment for you in the NFL when you got there?
Nothing. Because
Nothing?
when people talk about the SEC, it is the same exact as NFL. Only difference is NFL go longer. Like you start like 6, 7 in the morning, you're done like 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's nonstop. But other than that, it's same as that. The skill, everything. Same speed, everything.
What did you have to get adjusted to playing in that weather, that cold weather in Pittsburgh?
Not really, because I taught myself. So at practice, when it's cold, I go out there with no sleeves and nothing like that. So I get used to and prepare myself for the game. So when the games was, I didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's some cold days to be wearing no sleeves at practice, boy. Whew. I played in a bunch of cold weather cities, and practice was terrible because you do a lot of standing around, and it's a lot longer. You don't have them heaters on the sideline. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, practice. Some days you like to wear sleeves, but one thing you couldn't do is Urban Meyer said you can't wear long sleeves. If you carry the ball, you're not allowed to wear long sleeves. So that's another thing too. So that's why I don't wear long sleeves, because it do make you fumble.
I got you. Talk to a little bit about, you've been playing in Canada for how long now?
7 years, 8 years, about to be 8, I think.
Yeah. And so you were supposed to be playing this year, but they canceled the season, correct?
Yes, sir.
You plan on going back next year, right?
Yeah, they something I scheduled for next year. So.
And what team are you playing for right now? Who has you under contract?
I'm back with BC Lions. That's the only chance I think that can get me to the promised land finally, hopefully.
So how weird was it for you when you moved up and started playing in the CFL to get adjusted to that game? Because there's 12 guys on offense, 12 on defense. The skill guys can do that crazy motion. Was that weird for you?
It was weird, but it was fun and easy. Oh my Lord, boy. Oh my God. That's cheating. That is really cheating.
Yeah, to get a running start and having a defensive person have to cover you. Yeah, it is cheating.
It is a lot of rules though, because every year you find out something new. You be like, oh my God, I didn't know about that. But every year is something new.
And so you're hoping to have a big year to get another shot at the NFL?
Well, if they call, because they can call right now since I'm off and all these injuries going on. But if they don't, they don't. Hey, I just know I can go somewhere where people love me, love my family, and hey, and that's that.
Yeah, that's true. Coach Mullen was the offensive coordinator when you played here at Florida, and he's done a tremendous job now coming back as the head coach at Florida. Just talk a little bit about what it was like playing for Coach Mullen. Was he a pretty demanding coach? Yeah. He didn't play no games because he took it serious. He wants you to be on a straight line, do everything perfect practice, make perfect games, or whatever. If I said it right, practice perfect, make perfect. What it is again? Perfect practice makes perfect plays in a game, or something. I mean, different coaches have different sayings. Yeah, that's how it was. He knew how to get up playmakers the ball. I know that for sure. So when he became the head coach, I already knew it was going to be good. Yeah, because when you look at it right now, I guess, some of the playmakers on this roster that are similar to your stature and your quickness and speed would be Kadarius Toney. Talk a little bit about what you've seen from this Gator team. Are they good enough to beat Alabama in your mind? Oh, Lord. Because Alabama's big. Yeah, they always big. Always big. Because everybody always asks me, what you think about Florida? I said, they got everything, but they just missing the speed. If they have like speed, they'll be unstoppable.
But hey, you never know. College football can always surprise you.
Yeah, that's no doubt about that. A couple more things here, and we're visiting with Chris Rainey here on the Titan MRI Hotline. So, when you have you watched the Gators play a lot this year?
A couple times, because they made me mad after that Texas A&M, because Texas A&M look like they're sneaky this year.
Yeah. The offense is a little bit different than what you ran with Tebow and them here. You know, it was a lot of quarterback runs. Now it's more basically Trask throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game. Is this something that you would have liked to have played in, how they're running the offense now, where you got out in space a little bit more? I mean, they still got you the ball when you were playing here.
Oh, my God. I would love that. Because in the day, I'm a running back, and all the running backs back when we played, we did get mad when they gave the ball to Tebow many times, because you get mad when the quarterback got more yards than the running back. You don't like that, because that means we ain't doing enough for something. So that's how we look at it. But other than that, yeah, I love to be in that offense.
So let all the Gator Nation that's watching this podcast today, let them know what Chris Rainey, obviously you would be, well, I guess the Canadian season usually ends around Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that'll be a great cup, yep.
So, but let everybody know what you're up to these days and what your plans are next year.
Well, I just know since this season been canceled, it taught me a lot. I had a lot of things to do, getting stuff set up and all that stuff. And I'm just waiting for this house to get built so I can just say I finally got my own home, finally. Been waiting for 10 years, been in apartments 14 years. All the kids doing sports, been traveling a lot. I see what single parents, single moms, when they doing all that with the kids in the sports. Oh my God, it's a lot. This is the first time I never took a nap this year. That is different to me. Other than that, just been playing basketball, training.
How old are your kids?
I got 2 5-year-olds, 1 4-year-old, and 8 months.
You got them already doing speed ladders and all that kind of stuff?
Somewhat.
Yeah, I figured. Well, Chris, we appreciate you taking the time to join us, my man. Stay safe. Congratulations on your new home. And hopefully we'll be seeing you playing for the BC Lions next year, my man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. I'm trying to go be number one all time in 3 categories.
What's that? Tell them the 3 categories.
Punt return, kick return, all purpose.
There you go. Well, we'll be watching, my man. I know Gator Nation will be as well. Be safe and take care.
Appreciate you too.
That's Chris Rainey. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. We're going to take our final time out of the pro. When we come back, we'll wrap up this Wednesday edition.
Hey, Gator Nation, this is your former head ball coach, Steve Spurrier. Check out our show, Inside the Huddle with Shane Matthews and Steve Russell, every Tuesday during football season on 8:50 a.m. and 98.1 FM WRUF at 10 o'clock a.m.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Aver and Smith Personal Injury Attorneys, Orange Theory Fitness, PRP Regeneration Specialist, and Dowling Signs. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click the advertise button or call Freddie at 352-284-3733. Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I want to thank JC for joining us. And Chris Rainey, we had to take Chris's interview yesterday, folks. That's why I couldn't reply to a lot of your Facebook Live questions and comments for Chris, but we appreciate him taking the time to join us. Tomorrow's show, it's Thursday. That means Brent Beard. He'll have some good stuff regarding college football for us. Also, it's the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup, finishing up the playoffs. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.